Hi, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name's Janice. I'm a type 1 diabetic and I make videos on whatever the fuck I feel like it. So this one is going to be a little bit of a serious one here. I have a lot of opinions. We're just going to start off listening to Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, okay? She has some powerful words for us, and I think it'll kick off the discussion very well, in my opinion. I'm just gonna...
What we're experiencing here, it's important to tell the truth of what's going on. And with so many individuals out here, I think it's important for us to also tackle this myth that this is somehow about babies or children or life. Because the same individuals who claim to be protecting life fight against universal health care. Do they believe in universal child care? Do they believe in life after birth? From their policy positions, I assure you, the evidence is lacking.
What she's talking about here, she's talking about policy. And before we get into, Roe versus Wade, which is the big event that has happened, that has sprouted all of these different people talking about this, we need to get into what abortion is and kind of how it affects all of us. And it's more than just, oh, it's a life or it's murder, because that is what they're really trying to drive home, is that abortion is murder. And it's like, it's bigger than that. It's the fact that us women as human beings are not even being looked at as human beings who deserve a right. Children do need to be protected. I'm not saying that I'm pro-life. I'm definitely pro-choice. But, it's my right to decide that I would never do that to a fetus. It doesn't matter what I would go through. It's not my body. It's their choice. It's their body. Abortions. What are abortions? Abortions are, when a medical procedure that, a vacuum essentially sucks out the contents, and they never pass more than 20 weeks. So I don't understand why these, radical pro-life people are trying to be like, oh, you believe it for the whole 9 months. First off, anyone past 20 weeks is not getting an abortion. And if they are anywhere near close to 20 weeks pregnant, it is a very difficult process. And clearly, it's the last option that they're taking. Because if someone's having an abortion to 20 weeks of pregnancy, it's usually a process that takes a couple days. And it's never for a reason that they really want it. It's because they had to. I think that probably leads us really into our first story, which is of this woman. I do not follow her on Instagram, but I came across the story because my cousin, her name, it looks like it's Chloe. And, this is her story, and I'm just going to read it, and I'll put a picture of the baby up. She says, I wasn't going to post about this, but it's so important to people see other people's perspective, especially from someone they don't know. I am currently 25 weeks pregnant with a baby girl. She's incompatible with life. I found out at 23 weeks that she wasn't going to make it. So her baby is dying, and she does want her baby. I knew then what I wanted to do. I knew I wanted to terminate. My baby is suffering inside of me, having seizures multiple times a day. This woman can feel this, and you can feel this in your heart, that this is kind of sick, and you wouldn't want this. I feel every single one. I knew I didn't want her to suffer any longer. I let my doctor know of my choice, and he said he would schedule an induction for me. Well, Friday came along and the overturn of Roe versus Wade happened. I thought I would be okay. I thought the law wouldn't go into effect for a while. Sadly, that is not the case. I now have no choice. My doctor called me today and told me I have to remain pregnant until this baby dies inside of me, or dies when she's born. This is America. What kind of sick country do we live in where we force a mom to feel her baby suffer every day until her baby dies? It's not fair. I never thought this would happen. Now I'm completely lost and torn and confused. If you're celebrating the overturn of Roe versus Wade, then F you. I hope you never have to go through this. This is not a time to be happy. We should all be grieving the loss of women's rights. I have really nothing to say to that. I feel like she put it in the best way. That's from someone who is really in it and having to suffer because of this. I recently watched a video because doing research, and I got to listen to a lot of the pro-life people speak. One of the things the women said was that, we should address these issues instead of ending the life of a child.
So let's address that instead of killing the baby.
And it's like, some of these issues are irreversible. This child's life is going to end whether the mother makes this decision or not. And the mother does not want to experience this. And the fact that we took the choice away from her it is kind of sick. She shouldn't have to. And for the audacity for some of these people to say these things, it's like, let's fix all these money issues you have. Let's fix these issues. These irreversible medical conditions your fetus has. Let's reverse these issues. It's like, you don't have the resources to do that. And the fact that you think you can just shove people in that direction is inhumane. It's almost like they're trying to say whose life is more important here. And if you don't think abortion should be accessible to everyone, then I have to stop talking here and I have to give it to somebody else who is a doctor. And I feel like whether you're pro-life, pro-choice, you should listen to a doctor, right? They know more than us about the human life.
Fetus can have rights. I don't have a problem with that. You can believe life begins anytime that you would like. What matters is that you can't make people use their body to keep someone else alive. This is not ethical. You cannot give a right to a fetus that no other human has, which is the right to use someone else's body without express and ongoing consent. How you feel about abortion and whether you would have one is really irrelevant to this discussion.
I think Mama Dr. Jones put it the best that she could, and I would probably end the video here, except now we have to get into what Roe versus Wade was. It was Jane Roe, basically. It was a Texas case in 1973, and Jane Roe, she was named that because I guess to keep her identity a secret, and they were all using instead of Jane Doe, and it was a woman who wanted to have an abortion. And Harry Wade, he was the district attorney. And basically what happened was, and what the constant, battle is, once the case made abortions legal, was basically the argument was the limitation, when is the fetus viable? The viability of a fetus is pretty much undefinable by the medical community. And when that, undue burden pretty much is, even though most of the time when we do see abortions, they're usually, the cutoff is between 12 to 17 weeks, and later than that usually is rare. Before a certain amount of weeks you can take a pill to induce miscarriages. But we get the fact that people are saying, abortions are wrong, but not in every case they are, and the argument should not be whether they should be legal or not. it's a low risk procedure. The complications rate are low, and it's actually the trauma that comes from people who stand outside the hospital and show people graphic images, and even carrying a pregnancy to term and postpartum and raising a child. All those things are way more traumatic than having an abortion in itself. And most of the women that do have abortions usually don't feel regret afterwards. And that's what people are trying to say, like, oh, you are going to regret this for the rest of your life. And maybe they won't, because they knew that giving the child the life that they were going to give them was going to put both of these people in more suffering. And it's not always Democrat versus Republican. Some Democrats are pro-life. You know, I just think we have to be pro-human here and just have a freaking heart, you know? Abortions should be a choice. Abortion should be legal regardless of what someone feels is right or wrong. We need to look at who's being affected the most here, because moms who want their babies are being affected. Our rights could possibly be affected. You know, like, people are saying, you know, watch out for people who want to marry people in a different race, who want to marry in prison, who want to obtain contraception, who want to marry of the same sex, people who don't want to be sterilized without one's consent. These are all things that are going to be now possibly affected because of this overturning, and that is friggin' terrifying. Like, are we in 1715? Where are we right now? Isn't that, I mean, I remember when I was in high school and same-sex marriage was finally allowed, and our teacher was like, what do you guys think of that? I think that mental health is a real thing we kind of just skipped over about this, because people's lives could be in danger, because there are mothers that can do things that can kill them or the baby because they decided that they couldn't take this anymore. And I think Colleen Ballinger, who was recently pregnant with twins and suffered a lot through that because she wanted to. If you want your child, that is great. But imagine if someone told you that you couldn't have it, even though that is what you wanted to do.
The last few months, the last few years, life's been crazy. But in the last few weeks in particular, it's been really hectic. Number one, our country is in shambles.
It always has been.
As it has for all women and people who can get pregnant. I don't want to get into it in this video because I still don't feel like I could speak about it eloquently enough. I don't know, I'm trying my hardest to educate myself from all aspects, from all angles, because it's something I really truly don't understand why something like this could happen in our country in 2022. I just wanted to say that, like, I think the main reason it has been so emotional for me, this decision, is because no, I don't want to cry. I've tried talking about this so many times and I can't not cry about it. I've never had an abortion. I've never been put in a position where I would need an abortion, but I have made the choice to keep my pregnancies. There's a million things I could talk about here with why I think abortion is necessary, important, and should definitely be legal for women to make the choice and people to make the choice about what happens to their own bodies and to their future and to their life. There's a million things I could talk about here, and maybe I will at some point get into all of those details.
They don't value our life. They only value the life of the fetus.
Something I don't think enough people are talking about, which is why I want to bring it up. For me, all of my pregnancies caused extreme, severe depression and anxiety, prepartum and postpartum. But especially during pregnancy, I was severely depressed. My last pregnancy, I was on the most antidepressants you could give a person who was pregnant. And after I had the babies, they upped it. The only thing that was keeping me holding on was the fact that I wanted to be pregnant and I wanted to have my babies. If I did not feel that way, if I did not want to be pregnant and want to have my children, I don't know that I would be sitting in front of you right now. That's how bad my depression was. And that is a reality for all.
And that's important to say. She just admitted that she probably would have ended her own life. And as someone who does battle with depression and anxiety, I can't imagine being put in a situation where I would be forced to live with that every day. It's like they decide that everything that a woman is shouldn't be her own choice, and it's a burden. It's a burden to be a woman. It really is. Because not only are we not equals to them, but things that we can't even control, like whether we get pregnant or not, because even with contraception, people still can get pregnant because ultimately it's up to him. He decides that. We don't decide that we're women. We don't decide that we get periods, and we don't decide whether we get pregnant or not. So the fact that we can't even decide our own life, like, it's a day to have a penis between your legs.
The depression that I felt was so intense and so bad. And I know that that happens for a lot of people when they're pregnant. And the fact that there will be people now who will be forced to carry out a pregnancy that they do not want, and they will feel the way that I felt, is going to end very badly. And that really scares me. And I don't feel like enough.
Yeah, she's basically saying that she thinks this is gonna end in mass suicides. And I can't say that a lot of people won't be hospitalized because they try to do something about this. I mean, I hope not. Stay safe out there. Please use all the resources that you can. Talk to somebody. Please. I don't want anyone harming themselves because of the state that we're in. I kind of skipped over the whole men part, but they're, you know, in that video I watched, another thing they said is that men should have a choice. And it's just another thing. Like, it's my body. You can't not tell me what to grow in it. It's just crazy. It's like the audacity. Like, they got to choose everything for us for hundreds of years. We were only the caretakers and the baby popping outers. And, like, for them to be like, oh, there's a child in there. Like, okay, can I say the same thing about your freaking testicles? There's children in there. You need to impregnate me now. What do you call forcing a mom to have a baby that doesn't want one? That's a complete violation of their body. No? Say what you will. I don't know, but I feel like the evidence is clear on my behalf, and if I could go in front of a court and do my thing, I probably would, but this is the world I live in, so the only platform I have is this one. And I promise maybe next week I will talk about something more positive. I love you guys. Take a breather. Go watch some cartoons. I know I need to. I love you guys. Tune in next time. Subscribe, like, do all of the things. Leave me a comment. I don't even care if you're pro-life. Leave a comment. I do like reading things. I do like hearing about other people's experiences. And I will see you guys next time. Bye.